Hello YouTube, this is Will, but the blog is here, coming at you live through the love of the internet. And today I'd like to talk about why being 20 sucks. Why does it suck so much? Why is it so brilliant yet so horrible? Well, in a nutshell, when you're 20 years old, you want what 30-year-old you's got. You want to have a good career that pays good money, a career where you're loved, you're appreciated, you're looked up to, a career that allows you to have 3 or 4 holidays a year and have nice clothes and nice things, cars if you want them, houses if you want them. When you're 20, you also want to be in a loving relationship with somebody who's right for you, somebody who basically wants what you want out of life. So being 20 is very difficult because when you're 20, you want what 30-year-old you's got, but you're only 20, which means that your brain is only 20, your intelligence is only 20. Even if you're somebody who studies and reads a lot of books, you're still only 20 years old. You still only have a very marginal amount of life experience. So, yeah, being 20 is hard. And the biggest mistake that most people make when they're 20 years old is thinking that they know what they want and thinking that they know themselves. Because trust me, you don't. You don't really know yourself until you're about 30. I mean, when I was 20 years old, I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. I do still love singing, but when I was 20, I wanted to be a superstar. I wanted to tour America, have millions of pounds and have a mansion in Beverly Hills. I wanted to marry Miley Cyrus. I wanted to, there was all sorts of crazy ideas and aspirations that I had when I was 20. And honestly, looking back now, I don't think that that would have been the life for me, because people who do become famous from a young age, they experience a multitude of mental health problems. They tell me what to wear, what weight to be, and me being a bit of a rebellious chappy when I was in my 20s, still kind of am, but much more so when I was in my 20s, I would have said, no, I'm not losing weight, I'm not being thin, I'm not having this hairstyle. Will as Will. William Key will always be William Key. You either like me or fuck off. You know what I mean? It's that simple, really. So, I would have ended up just getting semi-famous, then going back to the life I had before. So, yeah, honestly, I don't think that fame's for me. And if I was to get famous in my early 20s, I probably wouldn't be with the amazing, amazing man that I'm with now. Oh, and that was another thing. In my early 20s, I thought I was straight. I thought I wanted to be with a woman. I didn't truly understand my sexuality. That's what I mean. You think you know yourself when you're 20, but you don't. Then when you're 25, you learn a bit more. Then 27, you learn a bit more. When I was 27, I started working in security, made some good money, and then COVID happened. But luckily, I was one of those people that got furloughed. And then when that went tits up when I was 29, and I realised that door life wasn't for me, because, you get shit on by the managers, shit on by the bosses, you get, well, pretty much shit on by everyone who thinks they're better than you. It's actually a really, really horrible job. But, I carried on working at the football grounds, and then I came to YouTube, and then in 2022 I found Duolingo, started learning other languages, and started getting a bit of revenue from that, and life just got better and better. And then every August 23rd, I have a little drink, a special little drink with a bit of caviar, only a fiver from Tesco, like £5 lumpfish caviar, on goose pate, just to celebrate that great day in 2021, the day that I finally got my big break, the day that I got to the point in life where I was doing the work that I wanted to do. My family all looked up to me and said what a fantastic guy I was. My friends, God bless my friends have always loved me, but they especially looked up to me at this point. Like, this was the crowning moment. This was the point where I could start having 3 or 4 holidays a year and going Thailand and Egypt, and I went to Las Vegas last month, and man, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. My good friend John actually just rang me a moment ago and said that because I'd showed him the video of me and Al going to Vegas last month, he said that he's looking at going next year with himself, his girlfriend, and they're on about me and Al going with him, and that'll be absolutely fantastic, because I mean they've got the America bug now. They want to go because me and Al have been. they've seen what a fantastic time me and Al have had, and they want to go. And going back to why it sucks so much to be 20, social media has played a lot of that. I mean, when I was 20, in the good old year of 2012, there was a massive uptick in young lads with depression and mental health problems, young lads on steroids because of what they've seen on Facebook and Instagram and all these different social media sites, thinking they need to get jacked up on steroids, and they need to do cocaine to be like this celebrity, and they need to, and a lot of young women are having anorexia and eating disorders. So even though the older generation criticised this generation quite a lot, it's a lot better than it was 13 years ago, because nowadays there's a lot more awareness about, things like eating disorders, while mental health's always on TV now. I mean, you can pretty much get help for anything these days. And, 2011, 2012, that was a very grey sort of area for, the amount of problems that the internet caused. And young men, young women, and, me and Al, we're friends with a few people who are in their early 20s who are having, problems with relationships, problems with careers, problems with anything. I mean, that's kind of the whole aura of being 20. You think you know yourself, and you think you know you want, but you don't. You're figuring out who you are, what job you want, what you want to be, what you want to look like. It's a massive headache. I mean, there were times when I was in my 20s where I had an absolutely brilliant time. In my hometown, Stoke-on-Trent, had 24 clubs, and I went camping a few times with my friends, and then we went to Zante in 2016, and yeah, there was a few kinks in the pipe. There was, there were times where I fell out with my friends, either, over men, over women, over, sometimes some of my friends would say, oh, Will's going to do nothing for the rest of his life, and he hasn't got an house like I have, he hasn't had this, he hasn't slept with this many women, he hasn't done this. And this is kind of what drives this video home. Being 20 can really, really suck, but it can also be fantastic. And looking back now, when I was in my early 20s, sometimes I wish that I would have just enjoyed it a bit more for what it was, instead of thinking, I need to be accomplished, I need to have 5 diplomas, I need to speak 5 languages, I need to be in a job where I'm paid £1,000 a week, I need to be going on holiday 5 times a week, I need to be loved and appreciated by every single person I even look at. I need to be, because that's yourself, that is. That's yourself thinking, I need to be this, I need to be this, I need to be this. What I'm saying is, yeah, it's great to go to college, it's great to study, it's great to start a business if you want to go into that. It's great to do new things and try new things and meet new people, experiment with relationships, find out who you are, but don't forget to live in the process. Don't forget to just enjoy being 20 for what being 20 is. Don't forget to just enjoy the fact that, you've got your whole life ahead of you. Chances are you haven't got any health problems. Chances are you're never tired. Chances are you're nimble as fuck and have an unlimited, ultimate amount of amounts of energy and new ideas and things you want to do. And that's the best thing about being in your 20s. Sure, there were part of my 20s that sucked because of, all the depression. There was a lot of family issues. There was a lot of problems with employment, which I talked about in my last video, because, well, society just hated autistic people in 2011 for some reason. But as the human species go, people don't trust what they can't explain, like they famously said in Tarzan, the one-hair wonder, So, but sometimes when I was in my 20s, I'd forget that being in my 20s was a gift. I mean, with all these illnesses and things going around, a lot of people don't even make it to be 20 these days. So, to be in your 20s and to be constantly finding out more about yourself every single year, it's actually a fantastic journey. It's been a phenomenal journey. Despite some of the horrible, horrible shit I've been through, I've actually had a fantastic life. My 20s were fantastic. Fantastic / horrible. But more fantastic, Times were good, times were bad, but more good. You know, I had more good times in my 20s than bad times, not just because, I did a tremendous amount of work on me, but because I did a tremendous amount of work on, with friends and with family. And I'd say even when I was 19 or 20, I've always been a trier. I've always tried very hard, as much trouble as I had with depression and everything else, and with the autism and all the problems that come with life of autism and the unemployment, I always tried. I never gave up hope. I always tried to do better and to get better. And if there's anything else that you want me to talk about in these rambling series, just message me. If you want a video where it's me and Al talking, sometimes, Al comes up with, interesting and relevant points that I don't think of. I mean, I'm nearly 33. So I've had a lot of experience being in my 20s, but Al's in his 50s, so sometimes, he comes up with very intelligent and relevant points that my 32-year-old brain hasn't even thought of, that hasn't even contradicted. So if you want some of these videos to involve Al, please let me know. Please give us a shout. Another huge mistake that I made in my 20s was rushing things, rushing careers, rushing relationships. And as I said earlier, in your 20s, you've just got to enjoy the moment, because if you keep chasing the rainbow, as Al always says, the rainbow disappears. So if you're constantly thinking, I need to be a famous singer, I need to be a songwriter, I need to be a millionaire, I need the perfect relationship, perfect this, perfect this, perfect this, it won't happen. But as soon as you stop looking for employment opportunities and the perfect relationship, and it just happens. These things just come, as long as you're a decent person who isn't an axe murderer or some shit, and you're true to yourself, you're true to your friends, your family, and you don't lie and bullshit about things to make yourself look better, I'd say that there was a 95% chance that you will find a great job, you will find an amazing person to be in a relationship with, you'll have an amazing life, you'll have an amazing time. And looking back now, I used to take it as a big insult when I liked a man or a woman and they'd say, oh, I'm in a relationship, or oh, you're not your type. I thought, have I been single for 4 years because people just hate autistic people? Is it because I'm a big guy and at one point I went on a strict diet for 6 months, I lost 3 or 4 stone because people kept saying to me, oh, well, if you were 12 stone, you'd be beating men and women off with a stick, and people would want to fuck your brains out, they'd want a relationship, and you'd have this job opportunity, that job opportunity, just to find out that after 6 months of depriving myself of all the foods that I loved and going to the gym and doing things that I hated. I mean, I'm a lazy fucker, I can't stand exercise, and all my friends know it. And it was all for nothing, because I lost all that weight, and then apart from 1 or 2 people walking past saying, oh, you've lost a bit of timber, nobody really cared, nobody wanted to give me sex, nobody wanted a relationship with me. Life was no better than it was before. If anything, it was worse, because I lost the one unique thing about me, which is the fact that I love eating, I like shaking my belly, I love getting drunk. I've grown to really enjoy being a big guy. That was the one thing that people liked about me in 2011 at Walton Hall, and 2013 and 14, and then when I went to Ghana, everybody addressed me as the chief and say, oh, the chief has a big belly. And that was cool, everybody liked that. So looking back, I don't know why the fuck I did that. And then years later, I met Al when I wasn't trying. He fed me back up to the happy, jolly Will that everybody loves and appreciates, the Will that everybody wants to see more of, the Will who I was, that Al put me back in touch with a part of myself, that I lost a long time ago. As always, I love you all very much, and I'll speak to you very soon.